Hello friends, my name is Dan, and this video will be the final update for suing the City of Victoria and Ron Kirkwood, badge 414 of VicPD. On October 3rd, 2017, a provincial judge, who the court staff refused to give me his name, but I'll definitely be getting that soon, in the law courts of Victoria, British Columbia, ruled in favor of the defendants and Ron Kirkwood and dismissed my small claims action in its entirety after a trial concluded. Now, I had previous experience with this judge back in 2001. And when this judge walked into the courtroom and I realized this was the judge for the trial, I knew my case was over before anyone said one word. In my experience, this judge seems to despise any accused or anyone seeking justice that, say, may be going against law enforcement. And I'll be going into more detail about this judge in another video at another time. Now, despite the fact that the judge ruled in the defendant's favor, I actually have some really bad news for Canada. Now, this is going to make your blood boil, so just a fair warning here. This video may not be for everyone, but if you're still with me here, strap in and hang on, because this is going to be a wild ride, folks. So, on October 3rd, 2017, a provincial court judge ruled that the police can conclude the guilt of an accused before even speaking to the suspect. And police can write false and misleading statements to Crown prosecutors. Now, I want to keep this video short because this is going to be the last update for this. But there will be a multi-part documentary, if you will, on the entire process of being falsely arrested and maliciously prosecuted. So this video is going to be like a little snippet into the trial where I'm suing for false arrest. And I'm going to show you what I was actually up against. That how clear and obvious evidence a certain judge will just flat out ignore. And I'm going to suggest that this judge not only despises accountability, but he also despises anyone seeking accountability. Anyways, let's get to the good part here. So I'm going to show you a statement, and you're going to hear what Ron Kirkwood wrote about a phone call that we had on November 10th, 2015. Long story short, on July 19th, 2015, I was being investigated for an assault allegation. And you'll probably note the difference in time there from July to November. Ron Kirkwood made threats that if I didn't apologize to the, quote, victim, unquote, there would be a warrant for my arrest and I would be facing a criminal charge. He also lied to me and said some false things. And before I could even meet with him or speak with him, I knew he was lying. And I knew he had already concluded that A, this assault occurred, and B, I was the one that did it, even though it's a hilariously bogus allegation. So I thought, well, since you haven't even spoken to me yet, and you're already telling me I have to apologize for something that I didn't do and you didn't even investigate, well, I was just going to remain silent. So I'm going to put up a picture of this statement, and then you can compare it to the phone call that I audio recorded. Now, this phone call was on November 10th, 2015. And Ron Kirkwood wrote this statement on November 13th, 2015. So, like, just 2 or 3 days later, basically. You might want to check my math, though I'm not very good at it. So, listen to what he writes about me in his statements and reports to Crown prosecutors. And remember, this is a police officer who's trained to make accurate statements. And any prosecutor that's considering approving a charge is relying on honest and accurate statements from the police. So I've highlighted the goody bits, and I'm going to run the text through one of these automated voiced doohickey things here, so it'll speak it out for you.
Dan called and asked what the status of the investigation was. Constable Kirkwood explained that he was still investigating the file, but thought that it may be concluded at the end of the week without charge. Dan went on to insult the officer and state that he would have his job, and that he had been looking forward to court to make the officer look like a fool, and that from the beginning this is the outcome that he had predicted. Dan then went on to insult the officer, while Constable Kirkwood attempted to speak to Dan. To no avail. Eventually, Constable Kirkwood hung up on Dan. Since that phone call, the officer contacted the quote victim unquote. The officer then spoke to Crown and was of the opinion that the file should be sent for approval. Constable Kirkwood fielded yet another angry call from Dan. Given the fact that Dan has been very aggressive and anti-police on every single phone call to the officer, Dan seems to be a very angry male who does not appear to control his temper.
So that's what he says. Now, this phone call that he details in his statements and reports to Crown prosecutors, it was recorded. And what you're about to get here is an inside look at how Ron Kirkwood writes his reports and statements to Crown prosecutors while being objective, accurate, and honest. All right, now here's the phone call. And again, hang on, folks. This is going to be a rough ride. Here it is.
Hey, it's Constable Kirkwood.
Hi, Constable Kirkwood. Just returning your call here again.
Oh, thanks for that. Sorry to put you off a couple times there in a row. I was just tied up, just a guy on the road here, but it all kind of worked out. So, what can I help you with?
Yeah, no problem. I have a business card from you and a case number. I was wondering if I could get an update on that case.
Sure. Can you go with the phone number?
Yeah, it's 15-32747.
Let me just bring it up here and see where it is.
It was mid-July, and I haven't heard from you since, so I just
Gotcha.
wonder if I could get an update or closure or something.
This is a common assault file.
Yeah, you actually made some threats to me.
Is this?
Yeah, you actually...
Okay, so I do have an update for you. Later this week, I'll probably be concluding the file without charge.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like I'm going to be putting in a warrant. Mostly it's on the part of the complainant who did provide statements, but then I had trouble tracking him down after the fact. So without him, I can't go forward. So probably, what day is it today? Tuesday? By Friday, I'll probably conclude it without charge then. I'll probably give him one last shot to contact me, and then barring that, then it'll be concluded. If you like, you can give me a call on Friday and just double check if you like.
Okay, yeah, no, it's just you'd made threats to me and said some false things, so I just wanted to get some closure. I didn't think it was... I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, so...
Okay, well, you're more than able to do a Freedom of Information request on the file. There's always forms down at the police station to do that if you like.
Yeah, no, it's just you said my interpretation of the law was very blurred, but...
No, I remember our conversation, and I don't want to go back there again. You and I obviously see things differently, and that's fine. There's lots of people in life that see things differently, and I've been doing the job for quite a long time now, and I know usually what Crown is going to look for a charge to go forward, and I was trying to explain that to you, and at the time, understandably, you were heated, and and there it is, right? So,
yeah, no, I understand that. It's just you only heard one side of the story. You never asked for mine, and then you made threats, and I told you that,
Well,
that's...
so some of the issue was, Mr. Marks, is that, like I said, my intention was just to talk to you at first, but just being a phone call, it doesn't usually bode well for when I write the file up and say, okay, look, I'm going to go with charges, or I'm not going to go with charges based on your statement because I can't prove that it's you that I'm talking to. So usually what we do in an investigation is we do face-to-face talks, and so I can confirm who your identity is, and there's a whole bunch of different body language indicators that would let me know whether or not you're being truthful or whether or not I think charges are warranted to go forward. Yeah, so usually in probably 99% of cases, I'll talk to all parties face-to-face because, like you said, there are two sides to every story, right? But I know you were adamant that you didn't want to talk to police in person, and so my hands were kind of tied then, right?
Yeah.
So, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah. The thing is I don't give in to threats, so...
Okay, well, it's not a threat. I was letting you know what the outcome would be if we didn't talk in person, right? And,
yeah, which of course is a threat. If I don't...
a threat is something where it's going to be bodily harm or something like that, right?
Well, if you...
That's what the criminal code states as a threat, right? What I'm letting you know is by not talking to me in person, it kind of ties my hands with investigative avenues.
Yeah, it's a threat. Threat of arrest.
Well, I mean, it's... I'm not going to get into a tete-a-tete with you, right?
But I told you back
in the morning for that.
No, I understand, sir. I'm just returning your call because I told you back in July that this was basically how it was going to turn out. I would eventually call you months down the road and say, so it didn't work out. You didn't even try to collect any evidence from me at all, and then you made threats.
Well, I did. You wouldn't meet with me, right?
Well,
I invited you down to the station probably 5 times, and then you called me back 15 times in a row, just wanting to argue. And that's not really what I'm paid to do with you. It's not debate the law.
I know.
My job is to conduct an investigation, and if you don't want to come in for an interview, then my hands are tied.
I know, sir. I know exactly what your job is, but here's the thing. You didn't ask me to come in for an interview. You told me that if I don't come down there and apologize to this guy, there would be a warrant for my arrest, and that's a threat, sir.
That is not what I said.
That's exactly what you said, sir.
I'm sorry if you remember it differently. That's
no.
definitely not
No,
what I put
I
in
don't.
there. So if there's anything else I can do for you, I have no interest in furthering this conversation with you. Like I said, you can follow up on Friday, and I'll give you a firm answer whether or not the file's concluded. Barring that, I don't really feel like I have anything more to offer you that's not going to make you angrier than you are.
Oh, I'm not angry, sir. I'm just following up.
Okay. You seem angry, so...
no. Okay. No, I'm just...
anything else I can do for you, Mr.
I'm just returning your call because, as I said, you made some threats to me in July.
You told me why you were calling. Is there anything else besides that I can do for you?
No, just wanted to call you back and tell you how wrong you were.
Okay, Mr. You have a great day.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Now, this is one of the main pieces of evidence that I used at the trial. And under cross-examination, I compared his statement with the audio of the phone call. And Ron Kirkwood just kept tripping over his lies. Most of his answers weren't actually answers. They were like rants. It got to the point where I would actually just sit down and drink a half cup of water and yawn and scratch my head. And I almost forgot I was in court and almost fell asleep at one point. He was just ranting his answers to that should have been yes or no. They were 3-4 minutes long, just ranting. And then when he was done, I'd get up and I'd ask the judge, should I just ask that again? And the judge was like, no, move on. So I'm going to suggest to you that not only is Ron Kirkwood a completely dishonest police officer in his statements and reports to Crown prosecutors, but he's also, let's just say he's a liar. How about that? In court. Now, I thought this would have some bang for its buck in my trial, but the judge actually didn't really take any notice about how he lied and how he misrepresented me and how he corroborated with other people falsely and willfully in his lying statements. The judge just flat out didn't care. And in fact, the judge actually chewed me out for, quote, surreptitiously, unquote, recording the police. Right, Because no one should do that, right? Because no one likes transparency, right? And no one likes accountability, right? And once lying police officers like Ron Kirkwood write false and misleading statements to Crown prosecutors, it's his word against yours, or mine in this case. So how does this judge chew me out for recording the police when I proved that he lied and wrote false and misleading statements to Crown prosecutors in order to forward a hilariously bogus assault allegation? What do you think about all this? Leave a comment below. Well, that's my opinion. Jump on your keyboard and start debating it below.